All right, spoiler alert. This is a long, boring, low on commentary video where I take and shoehorn one of these 28 millimeters into my standard LGT hilt like I did my other one. So don't expect a whole lot, but I do go through the entire process, and crappy as the camera angles and the filming you are, maybe it'd help out if you're interested in doing it. Always, I'll be glad to answer questions in the comments if you have any questions how to do this. It's pretty straightforward. The soldering, probably the hardest part. So let's get to this. Okay, so I ordered some speakers from China instead of the Custom Saber Shop or Smuggler's Outpost or Saber Bay or anything like that, just to see how they do. eBay, I want to say these were like $7 or $8.50, I think. Free shipping. So we're going to try them and see. They're a foam surround speaker. You can see that. And the ones I've had, I think, are plastic so far. So we'll see what that's like. No idea how good they are, but I feel like they'll probably hold up fine for what I do. So I'm going to go step by step. I'm going to put it in this handle. So I'm going to notch that out for my 28. And then I will finally have, I think, my Profi spinner like I want it, except for that hammer pommel, which it's going to stay because of speaker, but I'm going to regret it with some cracked elbows and rib cages. So I'm going to do step by step, show you how I do it. It's not hard. I don't have a whole lot of expensive tools. There's no reason you couldn't do it too if you want to. And I cannot stress enough that it is worth it. I mean, this 28 millimeter speaker is so much better than the standard speaker that comes on your LGT. It will blow you away. I can't even run it full volume anymore. It's just too loud. So there you go. So I'm gonna get started, and I'll just try to make it as simple as possible. The soldering is the hardest part, and I'll even go through that so you can laugh at my crappy soldering. So here we go. Here's all the tools I'm gonna use. My cheap soldering iron, steel wool, solder, the flux. The flux is very important. It helps a lot. It helps the solder stick, and it was way easier after I got that flux paste or whatever you call it. Tinning flux. And don't follow me for the soldering. My soldering's gonna be crap. I hate to put it on here just because it's so rough and crappy, but I'll show you that even a novice can do this, so it's not that hard. Practice first and just watch lots of videos. There's lots of videos out there on soldering, lots of good ones, so I'll link a few down there in the description. I'm holding the speaker in the clamp right here because it just works out easier. And to me, the hardest part is not welding, soldering on those tabs, because they get hot really quick and then they flex and you can melt the plastic real easy. And I buggered my Smuggler's Outpost up really good. You can't see it, but it's still working fine so far. No problems. So ugly doesn't matter. You're not gonna see it in the dark anyway. And then here's my handle that I'm gonna put it in. And I'll show you how to do it. So foam here is what I use to cut. I cut a piece out, I cut a chunk out, and I put it in the chassis to kind of block off the sound, and I'll show you that when I do it. And then I've got some, everything here come off Amazon, I think. Some, what is it, heat shrink. Works really good. I just use a lighter, and I got some 30 AWG wire and some 22, I think. Yeah. So the 22 I haven't used much yet, and the 30 I've used for speakers so far, so that works great. Solder sucker here. That thing actually works, surprisingly. That's about it. If there's anything else, I'll add it in. But I didn't spend a lot of money on my tools. I had most of this stuff already. This 28 millimeter speaker is amazing. I just can't stress that enough. And I'm going to put both my Profis on a 28 and done. I'll never have another Profi without a 28, promise. So I'm going to set it up and I'll get started. Okay, so I'll try really hard not to cuss and have to cut that out. When something goes wrong. I really like, and I have to use pretty much these. Let's see. Usually use middle or so. Adam Savage recommended them, and they work great. So, especially with my eyes, even with glasses, it's just so tiny and hard to see. So, I'm not going to explain how to solder because I'll just muck it up. So just watch another soldering video, please. So anyway, the soldering best left to professionals or the teaching. Yeah, so I'll be prepared for the critiques of my soldering. I can live with it. Need some wire. Yeah, so not even prepared, right? If necessary, I'll speed this up. This wire is absolutely tiny, and you don't need much. Just to be out there. My wire strippers haven't arrived yet, so you want to tin that. Let's see, I'll make that about yay long. Okay, so red goes to red, or whatever. Tin that up, and then let's see. And I may just cut the soldering out because, let's see here. Put a little solder on that. The helping hands are not necessary, but they sure are helpful. So let's see if I can screw this up real good. I think I'm going to a little paste on there. Okay. I'll leave a tin that a little bit before we get started. Yeah, I'm already melting the speaker thing. All right. Like I said, this is not the fun part. There, that's it. Quick, do it quick. I did melt that bracket a little bit, but it's all right. So, ow, it's hot. Duh. All right, next side. A little bit of black. To trim the end off that. Quick and easy. Get it close. Cut it. And you can get these speakers, like there's one at Custom Saber Shop for sure that's already pre-wired, so you could even skip this part if you wanted to. No problem. I probably would recommend that, honestly. So I'll probably speed this up really quick just to show you. Anyway, here we go. Go up one on the magnifiers here. It's just hard for me to see. It's so tiny and I shake so much. Whatever's wrong with me. Age. All right, here we go. Tin this up again first. I really do need to get a better soldering setup, but I don't know if I'm going to do it enough to justify it yet. How many profits do you need? Well, is that a dumb question? All right, so that's got some tin on it. Some paste. melted. There you go. Done and done. And that's the hardest part for me. And what I do, because of the nature of this thing and how it sits in this chassis here, or this handle, I go ahead and I wrap tape all around it really good. So let's do that. Probably more so than I should. But I don't want anything bumping that handle and shorten everything out, which has happened. Rest in peace, RGB. Oh, shit. I think I will speed this up, so I won't have to be so chatty. I don't really have a lot to say, and it takes longer than I was expecting. Plus, who wants to sit through a 30-minute freaking tutorial for this? Then everything's going to get a good wrap with the thin tape. Found it. Okay. And then I'm going to cover all these exposed tabs because we don't want those bumping anything. Plus, it helps it fit in that handle more snugly. A little bit more. When in doubt, tape it out. I just made it up. So there you go. And that's going to sit down in that handle after I cut the notches out of it. So what started me on this, thinking I could do this, I bought a 28 just for the heck of it because they're only like 15 bucks or $8.50 for 2 of them from eBay. And I was just going to see if I could shoehorn it into something some way, and I was sitting there playing with it and dropped it down there. And it fit perfectly. If I hadn't shown you that already, it would work in this one too. And then barely probably in this. I wouldn't use this one, but it might. So then I was like, well, it fit in the pommel, so I was, obviously that doesn't work, but it's snug, it fits down like that. I thought, well, notch it for the tabs and see what happens. And yeah, it does weaken the screws, but not enough to worry about. I mean, these things are like 20 bucks each anyway, so. And I didn't even have to clean the threads up on the first one because it did just fine without doing that. So I'm gonna stop this, get some safety glasses just to be safe because I don't want anything slapping my eye. And we'll get started on that part. So this is the sketchy part where you can mess it up easily. Okay, so this could potentially be ruinous to your project if you got this wrong. But just take it a little bit at a time and take a little bit out and keep trying it until you're satisfied with it. So, and I'm going to turn this soldering iron off for now because I don't want to burn myself. Let's see. Find something to rest my arm on. Still hot. And just take your speaker and just slowly see if it's working. Obviously it's not, so you keep taking chunks of it. Every now and then, just to be safe, if you want to, you can run it down, clean the threads up. I didn't do it the first time. It'll probably be fine if you don't. So, getting there, but not quite. So, needs to be a little wider. So that's going to work, I think. Maybe just a little bit. So that fits down in there no problem like that, but I'm going to cut another notch out because the tape's going to make it thicker. And then it'll be seated better anyway. But that would almost work like that. Can you see that? All right, it's a little bit wider. So that will probably work. If not, we'll clean it. So what I do to get it on the other side is just this. Where's my marker? So that one's in. So spin around, look at where it's at, and just notch it, mark it. Yeah, I can barely see that. And then I get started. And then I just check it every so often and eyeball it, that's all I do. A little wider, a little deeper. Use the taped one just to be safe. Getting there, getting there. That's almost, I think I'm gonna widen them both just a little bit. Now, would I go into battle with that? No. Would I go into battle with this thing anyway? No. Sorry, I'm not very chatty. I got much to say. Still not quite. This one's good. This one. Wide. I could wedge it in there, but I don't want to tear that tape up. And if you're worried about tearing your stuff up, that's why I started with that. Got it from Tyler. They're cheap and no big deal if you tear it up. Hope all this is in frame because I haven't been checking. Not quite. Oh yeah. Let's see. I almost forgot what I also did was to take a round file and cut a little groove out in there for that wire to kind of go down, just to give it a little bit of extra space. I don't want anything wearing any more than it has to with that tape on there and shorten out. And you can see that just kind of makes a little divot. Doesn't have to be real big. Boom, look at that. Can you see that? Let's see. So. All right, it's ready. Okay. I'm gonna stop this and get my chassis ready. Okay, so this one is where the new speaker's going. That's a 24 millimeter custom saber shop. No, that's 24 millimeter Smuggler's Outpost Elite. It came pre-wired, I think, maybe. Yeah, so that was good. So just gonna pop these loose. Those were soldered, but really easy. And save that one for later for who knows. So now all I gotta do is solder these wires together, which maybe that's some excess wire, but you want a little bit of space because it's not gonna sit in this chassis, obviously. And I'm going to want a little bit more wire on this end. Or a little bit more exposed wire, I should say. So I can twist them together. Which is really hard with this tiny wire, but you get it done. Plug the iron in. Okay, so I'm going to trim these a little bit. Dealing with a small wire is the hardest part. One of the hardest things. My fat old hands and bad eyes. The magnifying goggles are a necessity. So even for this, I gotta use them. So we'll start with red. And doing all this, to me, just adds to the fun of it, to be honest with you. I feel better doing it myself than having to send it off somewhere. And it's sure is a learning experience. Oh, yeah, heat shrink. I almost forgot. Where'd it go? Get on a piece. I go a little bigger than necessary because it shrinks up anyway, and it covers the way I do it, which is not the best, maybe. So. Oh, crap. Wasting more. But this is basically all I solder for, so far. All right, you don't need much. And we're going to slip it down here. Tiny things and big old hands. Okay, I'm gonna flux all this stuff. Twist it together first. Yeah, I know I'm gonna catch hell for this soldering stuff, but I just want to show you you can do it even if you're not the best. So you twist these up. And then I kind of kink it and bend it over just a little bit, like so. Then I'm gonna put some paste on it. And then I'm gonna pre-tin it. So, or just solder really. You shouldn't be breathing all this stuff either. So, not pretty, but it's working. Get tight quick. All right. Put this other one together. Soldering was one of those things that I had put in the bucket of I'm not going to learn this or bother to learn this. I didn't want to weld, I didn't want to solder. I just thought, well, that's something I'll probably never have need for. No point in learning it. I did buy a soldering iron, but just to weld plastic with. So, but I have to say it has been kind of fun. Learning new skills. Who knows, it may come in handy one day besides something besides toys. But probably not. So that's what I do. I just kind of bend it over, twist it up, bend it over. And instead of soldering it flat, this is just easier for me for this tiny wire. It works out fine anyway. So, yeah. Gonna I get much older and shakier, this won't work. Okay. Not the prettiest, but it works. It should work. Let's see if it works. Well, let's cover up. Heat shrink first. All right. Make sure it's cool. And you want to bend it over. Like that. And then heat shrink it. The heat shrink videos on that too. You just get it where you want it. And then run a lighter over it real quick and easy. And before I got the heat shrink, I was using electrical tape. It was just, you know, a little bit harder and not as secure. But look at me learning. There's a lighter. Okay. And it doesn't take much. A little crispy, but done. That's it for that part. Let's just see if it works. It does.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
Cool. All right, so the foam. I got a mess. Is another thing. If you can see this is what I did. And it's not the best backstop because it gives, but it's all I had, and I couldn't get a piece of plastic to glue like I wanted to, so it worked out fine. No complaints. Like I said, I can't even run it on full volume, so what does it matter? That's just a piece of foam stuck in there and glued in. There you go. And how I did that, take this piece of scrap foam I had, it's too thick as it is. Take an old piece of a blade and just, you could use your handle, but it's going to be a little bit thicker since that blade is thicker than the handle. Voila. And it's too thick as it is, so I cut it in half a little bit. Trim it up maybe a little bit. And then I do take a slice out, or slice it, so I can run the speaker wires through it. Hope this is all getting on the frame. All right, so get that out of the way. Get some super glue here. This chassis is not going to last much longer. I keep doing stuff like this too. Yeah, I didn't glue both sides really. I guess you could, but I'm not going to. So. Glue all over my fingers now. Where's my chassis cover? Make sure no wires are pinched. I am recording. back together. Voila. Now the only thing with this is you can't, you have to slide your chassis out every time to access it because that speaker's not going to go through the handle or anything. So the chassis comes out anytime you want to change it. That's my only gripe, that I have to take the chassis all the way out every time I change fonts or blade styles or whatever, which is not a problem with the enhanced quality of sound you get, to me. I mean, these are cheap budget options anyway, so they're not perfect. All right, I'm going to put it all back. I'm going to cut off the camera, put it all back together, and show you how it works. So. Tiny things. So, pop the battery in, good to go. And I'm going to put it in this behemoth because it's for the 36-inch blade, like I said before, like I said, and I like that the fact that it eats up all that blade length right there. And this is not the one I spin and play with too much anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it'll sound good at least. Almost like it knows where to go. Been out a few times. So, yeah. If you made it this far, congratulations. I watched some of this, editing it, and it's boring as all get out, so I don't blame you for not watching this. Maybe I'll get better. Maybe I'll get better with the camera work and be better able to show you what I'm doing if I do anymore. Or maybe I'll just quit altogether. I mean, I got 2 good profis. Maybe get a nice hilt or 2, but that's really, I mean, I guess I could always want more. I mean, obviously everybody's gonna want more. I'm rambling, I'm bored. Been a Monday. All right, so there, it's a little dangly speaker. And like I've said several times, you can't just pop the grip, the handle off and change things, take the battery out, hook it up, put new profiles and stuff on it. You have to remove the chassis every time, but for me, it's a small price to pay for the sound. So, I mean, it's not like those Greyflexes are easy to get to, all that stuff. I mean, I don't know, I don't have one, so, yet. All right. And this is not the base, the dark, this is the eBay special. If you don't know how to turn the volume up and down on your Saber, that's it right there. So that's max.
Are you a Jedi?
I am.
Are you a Jedi?
This is with you, young Skywalker.
She's there.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
I'm Cal Kestis.
Anyway, having issues. But this is my janky button, so don't let that fool you. It'll be fun.
I'm Cal Kestis.
So that's the one from China. This is the Dark Elite from Smuggler's Outpost, which I'm sure is from China also. Next. Ooh. I don't know. I'm gonna have to replace that button.
Second sister.
Oh, there we go.
Second sister.
There's so much bass on there you don't even realize with a 24mm speaker. So much gurgulation.
I'm Cal Kestis.
Second sister.
Now, I'll admit my Dark's been around the block a little bit, but man. That's the Dark. That's the Elite. That's the $16 speaker. And this is the 850 for 2 speaker. I wonder if it's just because it's new. Who knows? Anyway, not bad for $4.
I'm Cal Kestis.
Yeah, you are. All right, I'm going to shut up, get out of here. Once again, if you made it this far, you're a trooper. I'll catch you later. May the Force be with you.